Dude, I need to be brutally honest with you for a second. Your current routine, the one you blindly follow every single day, is slowly, quietly, but undeniably cementing you into a life of mediocrity. And I know that's hard to hear because I was exactly in that same spot for years, convinced I was busy, productive even, while secretly just running on a hamster wheel. It's not that you're lazy or incapable. It's that you haven't yet understood the invisible change your habits are forging. And here's the kicker. It's the small, unconscious choices you make daily that are creating this trap, not some grand failure. But what if you could break free by simply understanding how these chains are made? And look, I'm not here to sugarcoat things or give you some fluffy motivational speech. This isn't easy. But if you're tired of generic advice, and you genuinely want to understand the foundational shifts that change everything, stick with me. We're going to dismantle some deeply ingrained beliefs that keep you stuck, not with quick hacks, but with real clarity. You see, in a world saturated with content, with voices screaming for attention, most people think the answer is to chase trends or buy better equipment. They spend endless hours trying to mimic what's popular, believing that if they just copy the right strategy, success will follow. But here's the hard truth. Equipment, trends, fancy editing, all of that is copyable. Anyone can buy a new camera or follow a TikTok format. What truly sets you apart, what gives you an unassailable competitive advantage, is your unique repertoire. Your mind is the only thing no one can replicate. I spent years scrolling, observing what other, successful, creators were doing, trying to fit myself into their molds. I'd pick up a new strategy, try to adapt it, only to feel like a watered-down version of someone else. I was a human billboard, just displaying other people's ideas. It was draining, and it felt inauthentic. And then it hit me. If everyone is drawing from the same well, how can anyone be truly unique? The real game changer isn't what you produce, but where you draw your insights from. Your mental archive, that fruit salad of experiences, knowledge, and perspectives is what makes you, you. So how do you build this mental archive? It's not rocket science, but it requires intentionality. Start by feeding your mind a diverse diet. Read widely, books, articles, philosophical texts, science, history, fiction. Don't just stick to your niche. Observe everything around you with genuine curiosity. Why do people behave the way they do? What patterns can you identify in nature, in cities, in conversations? Question assumptions. When someone says, "That's just how it is," ask, "Why?" The more varied your inputs, the richer your internal database becomes. Think of it as consciously curating the best inputs for your brain, turning it from a trash dump of random information into a carefully tended garden of ideas. Now, with this rich repertoire comes the art of the creative collage. This isn't about memorizing facts. It's about connecting seemingly disparate dots. It's like having a box full of different colored pencils. Most people only use one or two colors, or they just color within the lines. But when you learn to combine unusual colors, to draw outside the box, that's where true originality emerges. For me, it was realizing that principles from ancient Stoicism could be applied to modern productivity, or that concepts from neuroscience could explain financial habits. I would take ideas from one domain and deliberately try to apply them to another, forcing my brain to forge new pathways. This isn't about having a genius aha moment. It's a systematic process of cross-pollination. And finally, you need the courage of authenticity. Because when you start drawing from your unique well, when you create your own fruit salad mix, it won't look like anyone else's. And that can be terrifying. You'll fear judgment, the quiet discomfort of standing out, the risk of failure when you're the only one doing something a certain way. I've been there, feeling the impulse to revert to what was safe and predictable. But true trend creators aren't replicators. They are the ones brave enough to share their unique perspective, even when the crowd isn't ready for it. It's a long game, but the reward is an authenticity that can't be copied, a voice that can't be silenced, and a legacy that is truly your own. Let's talk about money, because this is where a lot of people get stuck, caught between two equally limiting beliefs. Either you have to be a monk, scrimping and saving every penny, or you need to be a high-flying entrepreneur, constantly chasing the next big score. But the fundamental balance that most people miss is this: it's not about saving or producing. It's about producing wealth and managing it wisely. You can't just economize your way to financial freedom if you're not generating enough to begin with. And you can't just make a ton of money if you're constantly leaking it through poor management. It's a dual mindset, a constant dance between creation and stewardship. I remember when I first started earning a decent income, I fell into the trap of thinking, more money, more problems solved. I was focused solely on production, without any real strategy for managing it. I'd see my bank account grow, then shrink just as fast because I wasn't thinking about where that money was actually going. It was like filling a bucket with holes in it. It wasn't until I started to see money as a tool, a resource to be allocated strategically, that things began to shift. It's a mindset that acknowledges the need for both robust income generation and conscious allocation. So where do you invest first? Forget the fancy cars and designer clothes for a moment. There are 3 core financial pillars you should prioritize. First, buy your time back. This means investing in things that free up your most precious non-renewable resource, time. Whether it's outsourcing chores, automating tasks, or paying for convenience that allows you to focus on high-value activities. Second, secure your health and quality of life. Without your physical and mental well-being, all the money in the world is useless. Invest in good food, exercise, quality sleep, and mental health support. Third, have clear goals before you spend on trivialities. Most impulsive purchases are made without a clear objective. When you have concrete financial goals, whether it's a down payment, an investment, or a specific experience, it becomes much easier to filter out the noise and say no to frivolous spending. These pillars aren't glamorous, but they are the bedrock of true financial freedom. Now, let's address the insidious validation trap. We live in a society that constantly tells us our worth is tied to what we own. A new car, a bigger house, the latest tech, these are often purchased not out of genuine need or joy, but to project an image, to seek external validation. I call it being a walking billboard for brands you don't even own. I used to fall for this too, buying things I thought would impress others, only to feel emptier than before. That temporary high from a new purchase quickly fades, leaving you further in debt and still questioning your self-worth. It's a vicious cycle that keeps you perpetually poor, both financially and emotionally. Your identity shouldn't be for sale. The way out of this trap is to cultivate a production mindset, one that anchors your value in yourself, not in objects. Your intrinsic worth, your skills, your ability to create, to solve problems, to contribute, that is where true value lies. It's about building something of substance, whether it's a skill, a business, or a body of work that generates wealth without the desperate dependence on social validation. When you understand that your ability to create is your greatest asset, you stop chasing fleeting external approval and start focusing on what truly multiplies your value. This mindset allows you to build real wealth, to make conscious decisions about your money, and to experience a freedom that no material possession can ever buy. Okay, let's get real about why you do what you do, or more often, why you don't do what you know you should. Personal development, at its core, isn't about external hacks or quick fixes. It's fundamentally about your perception of the world. Your internal narratives, the explanations you tell yourself about why things are the way they are, determine 100% of your actions. Not your willpower, not your motivation, not your circumstances. It's the story you construct inside your head that dictates whether you step forward or stay exactly where you are. If you tell yourself, "I'm just not good at this," guess what? You won't be. If you say, "I don't have time," suddenly you don't. These aren't just thoughts. They are the operating system of your life. I spent years telling myself, "I'm not a morning person." This internal narrative, this explanation, completely dictated my routine. I'd hit snooze, feel guilty, and start my day already feeling behind. It wasn't until I truly challenged that story that I realized it was just an excuse, a comfortable explanation for an undesirable behavior. My repertoire of morning person stories was non-existent, so my brain defaulted to the familiar night owl narrative. This is where your limited repertoire creates limited explanations. Imagine someone who has only ever seen one small village in India. Their mental archive of what the world is like is incredibly narrow. If you ask them about global finance, their explanations will be limited by their experience. Similarly, if your mental archive of successful people or productive routines is narrow, your explanations for your own struggles will be equally restrictive. You'll say, "That's just how I am," because you don't have alternative data points to draw from. This brings us to a powerful concept. You become good. Most people decide what they can do based on what they already are. "I'm not a natural leader. I'm terrible with money. I can't speak in public." This is deciding based on preparation rather than progress. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. What if you chose to believe that competence is built, not given? That the person you want to become is simply a series of actions away? I was terrified of public speaking. My internal narrative screamed, "You'll mess up. You're not articulate enough." But then I started telling myself, "I'm learning to be a better speaker," not, "I am a good speaker." This subtle shift allowed me to focus on the process, on getting better, rather than being paralyzed by the fear of not being perfect yet. It's the principle of progress versus preparation. Don't wait to be ready. Get ready by starting. The goal then is to construct good explanations, narratives that provide clarity for action instead of justifications for inaction. Instead of, "I wasn't born for this," reframe it as, "I don't have the experience yet, but I can acquire it." Instead of, "It's too hard," think, "This requires sustained effort, and I can break it down into smaller steps." This isn't about positive affirmations that ignore reality. It's about building logical, actionable explanations. When you understand that your perception shapes your reality, and that your repertoire can expand those perceptions, you gain the power to consciously choose your narratives. And when your narratives are designed for action, transformation isn't just possible, it becomes inevitable. It's about shifting from a passive recipient of circumstances to an active architect of your mental operating system, choosing explanations that clarify your path forward and empower you to build the life you truly want. So let's circle back to where we started. Remember that quiet hum of mediocrity, the one your routine was slowly crafting? We've talked about how that hum often comes from copying others instead of cultivating your unique repertoire, from a consumption-driven financial mindset rather than a balance of production and smart management, and from internal narratives that paralyze instead of empower. It's easy to live in autopilot, believing the stories we've always told ourselves, or following paths laid out by others. But what we've unpacked today is that your journey isn't a passive ride, it's a meticulously crafted construction project. This isn't just about tweaking a few habits, it's about fundamentally understanding the blueprints of your mind and your life. It's about recognizing that every single day, you are either building a fortress of authenticity and intentionality, or you're inadvertently erecting walls that keep you trapped. The tools are within your reach, feeding your mind diverse inputs to build a unique repertoire, shifting your relationship with money from external validation to internal value, and consciously upgrading your internal explanations from limiting beliefs to actionable clarity. I know it's not a magic pill. I didn't just wake up one day and have all of this figured out. It's an ongoing process of peeling back layers, questioning assumptions, and daring to build something truly yours. The real secret isn't a secret at all. It's the consistent, conscious application of these fundamentals. I remember a time when I felt like a human chameleon, constantly changing my colors to blend in, to be liked, to be successful by someone else's definition. It was exhausting. I was so busy trying to be what I thought others wanted that I lost touch with who I actually was. That journey, stumbling through copying, making financial mistakes, and being paralyzed by my own limiting stories, was painful. But it was also the crucible that forged the insights I'm sharing with you today. What I learned, and what I still remind myself of constantly, is that the pursuit of authenticity and true success is a marathon, not a sprint, and it's certainly not a solo expedition. We're all imperfect, we all stumble, and the beauty is in the continuous process of becoming. It's about choosing to show up for yourself, to do the uncomfortable work of self-inquiry, and to build a unique internal world that no one can take away. This path might feel isolating at times, because you're stepping away from the crowd, but you're never truly alone. There are so many of us out here, walking this same road, committed to building lives of true clarity and purpose. If this conversation resonated, if you felt that little spark of recognition, I want you to do one thing. Don't just scroll past. Pick one small thing from today, one new input for your repertoire, one reframed internal narrative, or one moment where you choose internal value over external validation and put it into practice. Test it, see what happens, and then come back and tell me in the comments below, what's the first small, conscious action you're committing to take to break free from mediocrity? I love reading your stories, and it helps other people in our community realize they're not alone. Your voice matters, and your journey can inspire.